If you're running a WooCommerce store, sales tax probably wasn't your top priority when you launched. So you built your website on WordPress, you added the WooCommerce plugin to start selling online, and then listed your products and focused on growing your business, not navigating tax rates, nexus rules, filing deadlines, or state tax notices. But here's the thing, getting sales tax wrong in WooCommerce can cost your business real money. So to understand why, you need to know what WooCommerce actually provides for handling sales tax and where its native solutions stop. WooCommerce, it gives you two tax options right out of the box. The first is WooCommerce built-in tax settings, where you manually enter tax rates for each state where you have Nexus. It's a straightforward setup, but you're responsible for keeping those rates up to date. So the second is a free extension called WooCommerce Tax. It's automatically calculating the correct sales tax at checkout that's based on your customer's address and your store location. So this eliminates the need to maintain tax rates manually. However, it only solves tax calculation, so you still need to track Nexus across all your sales channels. You have to register in the appropriate states, file your returns, and remit the tax you've collected to stay fully compliant. For businesses that are selling in one or two states, either option may work, but as you expand into more states and into more channels, the gap between collecting sales tax and staying fully compliant, well, that can grow quickly. So in this video, I'm gonna walk you through both setup options step by step. I'll explain exactly where WooCommerce's native solutions stop and also cover what growing e-commerce businesses need to stay compliant as they scale. So let's start with WooCommerce's built-in tax settings. This is your foundation of your sales tax setup and the first step every WooCommerce store needs to complete, regardless of whether you plan to install the WooCommerce Tax plugin possibly later. Step number one is enabling sales tax in your WooCommerce settings. Now, unlike some platforms, WooCommerce has tax turned off by default. So go to WooCommerce, then settings, then general, scroll down to general options and check the enable tax rates and calculation box. Then go ahead and save. Now, once enabled, a new tax tab appears in your settings. Step two is configuring your tax options. So go to the new tax tab. There are several settings there, but the key ones are set prices that are entered with tax to no, I will enter prices exclusive of tax. So this keeps your base price consistent regardless of state tax rates. Set calculate tax based on to customer shipping address. That's what most states require. And then set shipping tax class to based on cart items, so shipping gets taxed at the same rate as the products. Now, for display settings, most US businesses should show prices excluding tax in both the shop and at checkout. American shoppers, they expect tax to be added at checkout, not baked into the price. Step three is setting your tax rates. So this is where you tell WooCommerce how much to charge in each state where you have Nexus. Go to the standard rates tab, click insert row, and add a row for each state. Enter the country code, state abbreviation, and the current rate. Check the shipping box if that state taxes shipping. So the important thing is to know here is that WooCommerce, it won't update these rates automatically. In fact, if a state or local jurisdiction changes its rate, your checkout, that keeps charging the old amount until you manually fix it. For businesses in a few states, okay, that's manageable. For businesses in 10 or 15 states, keeping every single rate current becomes a real maintenance burden. So if you're setting up rates for several states at once, you can create a CSV file and upload it in bulk instead of adding rows one by one. Step four, configuring reduced, zero, and custom tax rates. So standard rates, they apply to most products, but some items are taxed differently. So WooCommerce includes reduced rate and zero rate categories by default. So use reduced rate for products that qualify for lower rates, like certain food or medical items. Use zero rate for fully tax exempt items. So if you sell products with special rates like alcohol, you can create a custom rate set under the additional tax classes setting. Step 5 is assigning the right tax class to each product. WooCommerce applies your standard rate to everything by default. So if you have items that should be taxed at a reduced, zero, or custom rate, you need to update them individually. So go to Products, select the product, scroll to Product Data, and change the tax class dropdown. Step 6, exporting your tax reports. So at this point, WooCommerce is calculating and they're collecting sales tax at checkout. But it will not file those returns with the appropriate tax authorities for you. So you're still responsible for that. So to file your returns, you'll first need a sales tax report. Now in WooCommerce, go to Reports, Taxes, select your date range, and export the CSV. You can then use that report to file your sales tax returns with each state's Department of Revenue where you are specifically registered. Now, alternatively, you can use a third-party sales tax compliance provider to automate the filing and remittance process. So that's the full native setup. Now, activating WooCommerce's built-in tax settings is typically the first step for most store owners. The next is installing and configuring the free WooCommerce Tax plugin. Now, most businesses, they enable it almost immediately because it replaces the need to manually maintain tax rates. So instead of entering and updating tax tables yourself, WooCommerce Tax automatically calculates the correct sales tax at checkout that is based on the customer's shipping address. Now, for businesses that want accurate rates without the hassle of maintaining spreadsheets or tax tables, it's a pretty straightforward move. Now, here's how to set it up. So step number 1, install the plugin. Go to Plugins, then add new plugin, search for WooCommerce Tax, and then click Install Now. Then go ahead and activate. Step number 2, enable automated taxes. Go to WooCommerce, then Settings, click the Connect button in the banner, then go to the WooCommerce Tax tab and then select Enable Automated Taxes. Now, once enabled, the plugin locks several of your store-wide tax settings and manages them automatically. Prices, exclusive of tax. Calculate based on shipping address and then shipping tax class based on cart items. Step 3, add rates for states beyond your home state. So WooCommerce Tax handles your home state automatically, but it will not add other states for you. So if you need to collect in additional states, you still need to add those rates manually. So one thing to be aware of, when you enable WooCommerce Tax, it removes any rates that you previously manually entered. So it saves them to a downloadable CSV first. So you can re-import them and then check under the automated taxes dropdown for the backup link. The key thing to understand about WooCommerce Tax is that it solves the rate accuracy problem, but it is still a calculator and it won't monitor your nexus thresholds or register you with new states or file returns on your behalf. So now that we've covered both setup paths, let's talk about what you're actually getting and let's talk about what's missing. So when it comes to tax calculation, both options, they get the job done. The built-in tax settings, that works if you're willing to maintain rates manually, while WooCommerce Tax, that automates the process and then it keeps your calculations accurate. Now, in both cases, your checkout collects the correct amount of sales tax, but tax calculation is only one part of sales tax compliance. So where both options become limited is what happens after tax calculation. So registration. WooCommerce, it will not register you for a sales tax permit or for a license. So what you need to do is you need to do that yourself in each state where you have Nexus. Now, Nexus tracking, neither WooCommerce's native settings nor WooCommerce Tax monitor your sales against state thresholds. So you won't get an alert when you cross a threshold or trigger a new obligation. So that's on you to track. Now, sales tax filing. So WooCommerce, they don't file returns on your behalf. So you export your data and then you file with each state manually. For remittance, the tax you collect doesn't get sent to states on your behalf. So you're responsible for that. And then audit support. If a state comes knocking or sends you a notice, WooCommerce won't help you with preparing the right documents or defend you. So there's also the multi-channel issue. If you sell on Amazon, Etsy, or other marketplaces alongside WooCommerce, those sales, they count toward your economic nexus thresholds, but they will not appear in your WooCommerce reports. So you could be crossing thresholds across multiple states without knowing it. So when do you actually need something beyond what WooCommerce offers? Now, while researching this, I kept seeing the same patterns and they kept coming up. Here are the 5 clearest signals. First, your online business needs to file in 5 or more states. Now, at this point, manually exporting reports, logging into state portals, preparing returns, and then tracking deadlines becomes a significant time commitment every single month. Second, your business sells across several channels. So if your sales, let's say they're split across WooCommerce, Amazon, Etsy, or anywhere else, you need a single platform that consolidates all of that data into one accurate view. Now, WooCommerce cannot do that on its own. Third, maintaining tax rates is taking up too much of your time. So as your business grows, as your tax rules change, new products, they may be taxed differently, and then keeping everything up to date, well, that becomes this kind of ongoing job. And then fourth, you've received a notice from a state. So that's a clear signal that your current compliance setup has gaps. And then fifth, your sales tax compliance costs keep growing every quarter, especially the cost of preparing return-ready sales tax reports as you cross nexus thresholds in more states. So if 2 or more of those apply to you, it's probably time to look at a dedicated compliance platform. Filing is one of the most time-consuming and critical parts of sales tax compliance. So getting calculation right at the checkout, that absolutely matters, but it is the filing, preparing the returns, meeting the deadlines, remitting to each state, that takes real time and real money. And that's why it's worth understanding what your options look like. So when you do start looking at filing options, here's the landscape. The first option is filing manually. You export your WooCommerce tax reports, you prepare returns for each state, you log into each state portal, and then you submit them yourself. So this works for businesses in a few states, but it doesn't scale. The second option is a dedicated filing platform that handles the full compliance life cycle. So nexus tracking, registration, filing, remittance, and multi-channel consolidation. Now, these are purpose-built for online businesses that are growing fast across states and channels. And this is where platforms like TaxCloud fit. Now, the third option is an enterprise provider. Now, companies like Avalara that serve larger corporations with complex product catalogs. So these tend to come with longer implementation timelines and essentially higher costs. The fourth option is a CPA or accounting firm that specializes in e-commerce. So if you already have a trusted CPA relationship, they can handle filings for you, but costs per state tend to be higher than automated platforms, and the turnaround time can vary. Now, the biggest differentiator across all of these is whether the option that you choose can onboard your business in the streamlined sales tax or in the SST program. Now, SST allows eligible businesses to file for free in up to 24 member states. So that's a structural cost advantage that compounds as you file in more states. If you're a WooCommerce business that's outgrown manual rate management and you're looking for a platform that keeps you 100% compliant, TaxCloud is worth evaluating, because TaxCloud is a sales tax compliance platform for mid-sized businesses with a pre-built integration for WooCommerce. So it's officially listed on the WooCommerce marketplace. Now, whether you're just starting out or let's say you're already selling across multiple states, TaxCloud is designed to support WooCommerce stores at every stage of growth. Now, TaxCloud automates the parts of sales tax compliance that WooCommerce's native tax tools don't cover. So if you're already using WooCommerce Tax, TaxCloud can import your transaction data and then automate compliance tasks such as nexus tracking, sales tax reporting, filing, remittance, as well as audit support. So for businesses with more advanced tax calculation requirements, TaxCloud can also provide real-time sales tax calculation for WooCommerce. So this is ideal for businesses that need a more flexible as well as a more powerful tax engine than WooCommerce Tax provides, while keeping both tax calculation as well as compliance in one platform. Now, beyond tax calculation, TaxCloud also tracks economic nexus across all of your sales tax channels, not just WooCommerce, and it helps you register in new states as your business expands, and automates filing and remittance, and then provides audit support when you need it. So one of TaxCloud's biggest advantages is that it's a certified service provider under the streamlined sales tax program. So eligible businesses, they can file sales tax returns at no cost in 24 streamlined sales tax member states, potentially saving thousands of dollars in annual filing fees. Now, for growing WooCommerce businesses that want to automate sales tax compliance without paying enterprise software prices, TaxCloud is built for exactly that. So here's what to take away from this. If you're just starting out, WooCommerce's built-in tax setting, well, it gets the job done. Enable tax, enter your rates, assign the right tax class to each product, and then verify collection at checkout. If you want to skip the manual rate maintenance, WooCommerce Tax automates that for free. Now, both are calculation tools. Filing, registration, remittance, nexus tracking, and audit support are also your responsibility, and WooCommerce doesn't fully handle those for you. So as your business grows across states and across channels, those gaps become expensive if you're managing them manually. Now, if you're at the point where compliance is taking real time, real money, a dedicated platform like TaxCloud can automate the entire life cycle as well. The SST program can significantly reduce what you're paying in filing fees. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and I've linked the full WooCommerce sales tax setup guide and TaxCloud's WooCommerce integration page in the description below for those of you who want to know more.